Most people are asleep. The world is quiet. But not everyone gets to rest. While cities dim and homes go still, some people start their shift. A security guard making rounds in an empty building. A cleaner moving through silent halls. A cashier watching the empty road outside the glass door. Night shift workers, keeping the world going while the rest of us dream. But something feels different at night. When you're alone, and everything is still, your mind starts to notice things. Every little sound feels louder. Every shadow seems to move. Sometimes it's nothing, but sometimes it isn't. There are stories people don't talk about. Drawers that open by themselves. Footsteps in locked rooms. Faces caught on camera that were never really there. Tonight, you'll hear 3 true stories from people who worked the night shift alone. People who thought they were by themselves until something made them feel very, very wrong. These stories didn't happen in haunted houses or deep forests. They happened in everyday places. A hospital basement, a quiet warehouse, a roadside gas station. Ordinary places until night fell. A quick warning before we begin. These stories contain unsettling moments and possibly paranormal experiences. If you're alone right now, maybe leave a light on. Now take a breath. And remember, working alone at night doesn't always mean you're alone. Let's begin. He worked the night shift at a small-town hospital, in the basement morgue. Early 30s, quiet, said he didn't mind the silence. The dead didn't talk back. That was the joke he always used. Most nights were routine. Check the drawers, verify the tags, record temperatures, keep the logs up to date. He worked alone. The morgue didn't get many visitors after hours. The hum of the overhead lights, the low drone of the fridge units, that was his soundtrack. Then one night, a new body came in. No ID, no family. They said it was an accident. The details were vague. Blunt trauma, lost consciousness, never woke up. The body was stored in one of the newer drawers, 4th row down, 3rd from the left. From the start, something felt off. The lights above that drawer flickered when he walked by. Not the others, just that one. At first, he thought it was wiring. Then he checked the temperature logs. One section kept reading colder than the rest, no matter how many times he reset the system. He even switched the thermometer. The cold stayed. And then the camera started glitching. Every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., the security feed in the hallway outside the morgue would scramble. Just for a few seconds. First, he ignored it. But on the 4th night, just as the screen began to glitch again, he heard a sound. Metal. A drawer creaking open. He spun around, heart suddenly hammering. Nothing looked out of place. But when he stepped closer, the drawer, the one with the unknown man, was slightly ajar. He yanked it open. The body was still there, cold, still, eyes shut. He pushed the drawer back in harder than needed. Clicked shut. He walked away fast. He didn't sleep the next day. The following night, he kept the hallway lights brighter. Kept the camera feed up on a separate monitor. He stuck to his tasks, tried to drown the thoughts out with routine. Around 2 a.m., while he was logging notes at the small desk, he heard it again. Footsteps. Behind him. Slow. Even. He turned. Nothing. Only the low hum of the refrigerators. He stood, walked the entire room. Checked every corner, every drawer. All closed. Until the final night. That night, something changed. He walked into the morgue, and the drawer was open. Fully. The toe tag sat on the floor, like it had been peeled off and dropped. The power cut out. Just for a moment. A soft pop from the overhead lights. Then darkness. Then the red backup emergency lights clicked on, bathing everything in a dim glow. He walked to the drawer, slowly. It was empty. Nothing inside. No body. Just the cold metal tray. He stepped back, stumbled, and nearly fell. Later, when he tried to explain it, no one believed him. The police reviewed the footage. It showed him walking in, reacting, looking panicked. But the drawer? It never opened on camera. Not once. The body was eventually marked as misplaced due to record error. Never found. They asked him if he wanted a few weeks off. He said no. He quit that night, left everything on the desk and walked out before sunrise. He's never worked another night shift since. And he refuses to talk about what he saw in the seconds before the power went out. He'd done the graveyard shift for years. A large warehouse on the outskirts of town. Quiet, cold, and mostly empty at night. The place was massive. Long aisles stacked with boxes, high ceilings that made every sound echo, and the constant low hum of old fluorescent lights overhead. He didn't mind the isolation. It gave him space to think. The work was simple. Inventory checks, label scans, make sure nothing was missing. That night started like any other. He arrived just before midnight, parked in the far lot, walked through the dimly lit entrance. The punch clock was still the old kind. Slide the card, hear the clunk, time stamped in faded red ink. He clocked in, then paused. Something felt off. It wasn't anything obvious, just heavy, like the air had weight. He brushed it off. Sleep deprivation, maybe. Too much caffeine. The building groaned as it always did. Metal shifting in the cool night. He grabbed his clipboard and started the rounds. Shelving row 3, then 5, then over to the newer section where electronics were stored. That's when he saw something. Just a flicker, movement at the end of an aisle. He turned fast. Nothing there. Could have been a shadow. Maybe a rat. But the floor was clean. And rats didn't move like that. He kept going. One eye always scanning the corners. A few minutes later, while checking serial numbers, he froze. Footsteps. Not echoing. Not distant. Close. Slow. Deliberate. He called out, standard protocol. Anyone there? No answer. He walked toward the sound. Turned the corner, empty aisle. But then, something caught his eye. A box half open. He checked the label. It had a name he didn't recognize. First and last written clearly, but not on the employee list. He memorized the names. That one didn't belong. Back at the desk near the punch clock, he started to feel uneasy. He pulled the physical punch record. His name was there. So was someone else's. Clocked in exactly 3 minutes before him. Same day, same time window, but no one else had entered the building. He was sure of it. He checked the security feed. Nothing. Actually, worse than nothing. The tape was static. Glitched. For 5 full minutes. From 11:57 to 12:02. The exact time the second punch-in happened. He picked up the radio. Tried to call the shift supervisor. Static. No response. A few minutes later, while walking the far aisle near the back of the building, he noticed something strange. Footprints. Just a few. In the thin layer of dust that had settled over the polished concrete. Big, heavy prints like work boots, but the emergency exit nearby was still chained shut. Padlock in place. No signs of tampering. No one could have come through there. No one should have been in that part of the building. He felt it then. That cold, crawling feeling in your spine when you realize something is watching you. He stood perfectly still. Waited. Nothing. Then breathing. Not his. Shallow. Uneven. Just beyond the next shelf. He moved fast. Rushed around the aisle. No one. But on the floor? His name tag. Not where it had been. He'd clipped it to his vest at the start of the shift. He didn't even feel it fall off. But there it was, lying near a pallet of sealed boxes. He picked it up, turned on his heel, and walked straight out. Didn't finish inventory. Didn't check out. He drove home in silence. The next day, he returned with a manager. They checked everything. Cameras were working again. Punch records still showed the second name. But there was no sign of the person. No trace. Later, another old worker pulled him aside. Said years ago, long before he started, someone else vanished during a solo night shift. No warning. No body. The only proof they were even there? Clock-in card. Time-stamped. 3 minutes before the next shift began. She took the job to cover tuition. Graveyard shift at a gas station off the interstate. Middle of nowhere. The kind of place truckers pass through. Headlights cutting the dark. Tires kicking up dust. Nothing but empty fields and long stretches of road in every direction. She was a college student, used to late nights and quiet studying. The solitude didn't bother her. She actually liked it. Just her. The hum of the coolers, the flicker of fluorescent lights, and the occasional traveler needing gas, coffee, or directions. Her routine never changed. Sweep the floor, restock snacks, log each transaction, glance at the CCTV monitors now and then. They flickered sometimes, old wiring, but mostly stayed functional. That night started like all the others. Just after 2:30 a.m., she was wiping down the counter, humming quietly to herself when headlights lit up the front windows. An old car rolled in, boxy, faded paint, engine louder than most. It stopped near pump 3. She didn't recognize the model, but she didn't think much of it. Then the man got out. He wore a large coat, thick and worn, and a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed his face. He walked slowly, almost stiffly, and entered the store without a word. The door chimed as it always did. She greeted him. "Hey there. Let me know if you need anything." No response. He just walked past her, hands buried in his coat pockets, and began browsing the shelves. Something about him made her uneasy. He didn't move like most customers. More like he was examining the shelves than actually looking for something. She kept an eye on him as discreetly as she could. Finally, he stopped in front of the drink fridge. He opened the door, reached in, pulled out a bottle of soda. Orange, she remembered, and brought it to the counter. Still no words. She rang it up. The register beeped. Total, $1.25. He placed exact change on the counter. Coins worn smooth. She said thanks. He didn't respond, just turned and walked out the door. She watched him through the window. He got in his car. The headlights didn't come back on. He just drove off into the dark. She turned back to the register and blinked. The screen showed no new transaction. No sale. No soda. No cash drawer activity. She frowned. Checked again. Nothing. Then she looked at the surveillance monitor, rewound the feed, and watched herself standing behind the counter. Alone. The door never opened. No one entered. No one stood across from her. Just silence. But she remembered the sound of the door chime, the feeling of the coins in her hand. She reached for the soda fridge. The orange bottle was gone. She stared at the empty space for a long time, tried to make sense of it. The next night, she mentioned it to her coworker who handled the morning shift. He went pale. "You saw the guy in the coat?" he asked. She nodded. He swallowed hard and said, 5 years ago, same story, different girl, same exact time." She thought it was a joke, until he brought out an old journal they kept in the back, just weird incidents logged over the years for fun. There it was, March 14th, 2:45 a.m., orange soda, no sale recorded, customer in heavy coat, no camera footage. After that, things got stranger. Every week, on the same day, around the same time, 2:45 a.m., the door sensor would chime. She'd look up. No one there. Check the fridge. Soda missing. She started logging it. The pattern held. She asked the owner to check the external cameras. One caught something strange. On foggy nights, the same car would be parked across the road. Headlights off. Engine cold. But when someone went to investigate, it was gone. No tire marks. No footprints. Just damp asphalt. After a month, she stopped logging it. She left the job a few weeks later. Said she couldn't take the isolation anymore. But when she emptied her locker, she found something that hadn't been there before. A receipt. $1.25. Orange soda. No date. No timestamp. Just a smudged ink circle where the total should be. She never looked back. But some nights, when she's driving alone on a quiet highway, she swears she sees that old car in her rearview mirror, following at a distance, never gaining, never disappearing. OUTRO, 250 to 300 words. Tone quiet, pensive. Low hum continues. Narrator reflects. Alone at work, you notice things others don't. Every sound, every shadow, reminds viewers these are real experiences, whether paranormal, psychological, or something in between. Night shifts can feel like a different world. Final line. So if you're ever working alone, and something doesn't feel right, maybe you're not alone after all. Fade out to silence.